Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm James and this is of course Nerd Topic. So I hope you enjoyed yesterday's little skit. Just sort of taking the mick out of me for not uploading in like a week. Yeah, I'm hoping to have like more skits throughout my uploads every so often when I can think of something that I find is interesting or funny. And hopefully, well, I'll say it now, I think Sheriff Upload will be a recurring character on the Nerd Topic show. So yes, so as mentioned briefly in the yesterday's skit, today's video will be the ranking all the MCU films, and I will be including the Disney Plus series as well. That will also be including What If. I am aware that the show has not finished yet, it still has 2 weeks left, as we just got episode 7 as the most recent one, as the recording of this video. But I still want to include it, and I'll obviously just rank it from where I think it is at so far. But as you can see, this is the tier list. So I've edited the categories. So the worst is the "Why are you the way that you are" category. This is for films that I just really don't like, or I just don't like how they are. I wish they were better, but then again, that is my category above that, which is could have been better. That is, of course, it had its moments, but it definitely could have been improved to be a better film. The middle tier is pretty simple. It's just an alright film. You know, it's not too bad, it's not too good, it's somewhere in the nice in between. And then, well, again, speaking of that, I couldn't think of anything clever, so I just put something in between these two. As my top thing is banging. I don't care about your opinion. That's because I'm aware that I might put films in this category that people do not think is a banging film. And yeah, I do not care about your opinion. I'm joking, of course. Opinions, I actually love opinions. I find them so intriguing of how one person finds something so much more better than another person. But obviously, yeah, that's my highest ranking category. So let's get right into it. So the first film on the list is the first Ant-Man. And I will say this now, it has been a while since I've seen some of these films, so excuse my rankings as they might not be the fairest thing that I could have been. I guess it would have been smarter to watch the films, but yeah, so the first Ant-Man, I really enjoyed it. I remember watching it in cinemas. It's a heist film in the superhero genre, essentially, with this comical Ant-Man character with the, you know, obviously the comical powers of shrinking to the size of an ant. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I think it could go just in alright. I don't think it was anything too up there, like Infinity War, and I definitely don't think it was really bad. Like maybe some of these films, I don't think there's actually a really terrible MCU project. There's just obviously personal opinions of not necessarily liking something as much as someone else. So yeah, again, all the characters were great. Paul Rudd as Scott was a good choice, and it was a very funny character. Had a lot of good and interesting characters. Yeah, so Ant-Man is at the alright tier. So coming in after the first Ant-Man is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now this was the sequel, obviously, and came out just after Infinity War. So it came off the high heels of this, yeah, the monumental, groundbreaking Infinity War. So I think it was destined to like sort of come across as maybe not as good, in my opinion anyway. And also, I just don't think it was as good as the first Ant-Man. I think its strongest part was the characters for sure. I didn't care too much about the story. It was a bit simple and basic, and yeah, it wasn't anything that I was too interested in. So I would probably say it could have been better. Now we're already at some of the pinnacle of Marvel Studios MCU films. Avengers: Infinity War has to go there. I'm joking, of course. It has to go in banging. I know between a lot of MCU fans, it is one of the best MCU films ever created. The way it culminated, the beginning, you know, it was the beginning of the end, culminating 10 years of storytelling, all these characters we know and love, and it didn't have to spend too much time, you know, introducing the characters, as we followed them already through their own films and seeing them on these different journeys, and then just to see them all come together for this threat that was Thanos. And having Thanos as the main character of the film was a very interesting and fun choice. And having a villain that wasn't necessarily pure evil, but was acting out of his own interest of like trying to help the universe, but obviously one of the cases where the villain is still doing something bad. But yeah, a very interesting villain and a very, very good film. Now, Captain Marvel. Definitely not as bad as some people say it is, definitely not as good as it could have been. And it's really annoying because I do think Brie Larson does and still gets too much hate for what she does in the MCU. She definitely doesn't deserve it. I think it's obviously people have made videos before on interviews and stuff she said. Definitely, I agree. She said some controversial stuff, but I definitely don't think she says stuff that like warrants the amount of attention she gets and like all the amount of hate she gets. Definitely, she's just trying her best to do what she's given. But I think the film as a whole was a bit underwhelming in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, it was still a fun first viewing. I've seen it a couple of times since then. It's still alright. I think it is somewhere between alright and could have been better. I would probably say, just for now, I think I'll put it in could have been better, but again, we'll come around and sort of see where each of these films go once I've got them all placed in. So, coming in next is Captain America the Winter Soldier, and I know in the fandom this is a very popular movie and is one of the ones that is very up there. In my opinion, Captain America is not like my most favourite character. I definitely don't like him as much as some people, and therefore, even though this one's really good, it's still not up there for me. And I definitely think for now it will be going in something in between these two, as again, I can appreciate it being a very good movie, but in my opinion it's not like a top tier one. But I will come around again, and I'm sure my opinions will change when I see where different films have been placed. So Captain America the First Avenger I think was just alright. I don't think it was as good as Winter Soldier or Civil War, and it was a decent enough origin story and a very unique setting for the MCU being set during World War II. I do like that aspect of it, but there's definitely different pacing. Like the pacing feels off in certain areas of the film, and just it's not he's not one of my favorite characters. Therefore, like not one of my favorite origin stories, obviously. But yeah, I think it still deserves to be in alright, and which is I think a decent enough spot. So, to finish off the Captain America trilogy, we have Captain America Civil War, and I really enjoyed this movie, probably just because it had the Avengers in it, which I know they were only in it a bit, but the airport battle is hands down one of the greatest fight scenes like in any MCU film, and I think it's at least and something in between these two. I think this one is the most likely to be moved up to banging, but at the same time, I definitely think the story was a bit dragged out, and upon rewatching it, I do lose interest at certain parts where I think they could have been cut. But that's just me, and I can understand why people might love the film so much. Same goes for the Winter Soldier as well. I don't mean to be offending anyone. Obviously, this is just my opinions, but the next film is Doctor Strange, and I think this one is a really good film. And I think again, it's got parts I don't really care for, or it's very slow to begin with. But anything past the first third of the film is probably the least interesting. Anything from that is very fascinating with all the magic and the visuals for obviously the warping of reality essentially in the mirror dimension. Like that was all very fun stuff to see. I think it was something in between these two. Again, I've got a feeling I'm going to be putting most films in this category, which again is not a bad thing. I really like the character of Doctor Strange. I know some people don't like Benedict Cumberbatch as him for whatever reason. Obviously, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But I think he does a really good job, and I'm excited to see him in Spider-Man No Way Home. And here we are at the ending of it all, minus Far From Home, which was like a epilogue, I guess. But Avengers Endgame has to go into banging. Again, some people might not be the most perfect, and I thought it was I think it was a good enough ending, or like a well enough written ending for like the ending of it all. I think Infinity War is still the better film, but I think to bookends the entire Infinity Saga, Endgame did a very good job of wrapping up these characters' stories. Again, maybe not perfect to some people. Again, maybe not even perfect to me, but I still appreciated like how hard the directors tried and the screenwriters tried to culminate. It's a hard thing to do, and I think you've got to take that into account. It's not easy to wrap up 10 years of storytelling with 10 years of characters. So I think it was a pretty top tier ending, and has one of my all-time favorite scenes, which is Iron Man snap. Like, just the scene where he gets the Infinity Stones and snapping his fingers is just gives me chills every time. And it's also his his final appearance, and a very emotional scene for me anyway, because Iron Man is a very important character in my life, and Tony Stark is one of my all-time favorite characters. Well, he is the all-time favorite character of mine. But yeah, enough rambling about Endgame, and let's get round to the next one. So, Guardians of the Galaxy. I think this has to go in banging. It was a very good film. James Gunn has just been killing it. He killed it with Guardians. Guardians 2 was still decent, not as good as the first one in my opinion. And he killed it with the Suicide Squad. People who know me know that I'm obsessed with the Suicide Squad. But I just have to keep talking about it because James Gunn does a very good job of picking out these characters who aren't that well known, and he makes them into these compelling characters that you care deeply for and get an emotional connection with. And I just really appreciate that sort of storytelling and that directing he does. As an aspiring filmmaker, I do find that very an interesting. He's a very good role model, I think, for what he's been able to do with these films and these characters, who again very obscure from the comics. But yeah, Guardians, very funny film, very fun storyline. Ronan was a bit of a weak villain, in my opinion, but again, he doesn't drag the film down too much for me. The humor was very good, the acting, the team, the world building of this galaxy in the MCU was very cool to see, and yeah, just an overall great film. And well, like I say, it was a banger. So into the infamous Guardians 2, I think this is again, it's been a while since I've seen this one. It's, in my opinion, was a bit weaker, was a bit heavy on the VFX, but was some good CGI and all that. It was good and it was used correctly. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. The villain was decent, but it wasn't. Again, I think that's been the weakest parts of them. I think maybe Ego was more interesting of a villain, and it also had very good storylines with Star-Lord and Rocket. But yeah, those characters did it. Peter and Rocket got very interesting storylines. And it was cool to see Yondu, and obviously it was the last time we see Yondu, minus What If episodes. But yeah, I think it has to go there for now. But it could subject to change. But I don't think it's as good as the first one, so I think it makes sense to be there. So I've just seen how many's left, so I'm going to try and speed it up a bit. But Spider-Man Far From Home, I think. I don't know. I go back and forth on which one I like more. I do think I like Homecoming more now. I would for the longest time I believed I liked Far From Home more. I think Far From Home is alright. I think I like a lot of the characters and the plot lines, but I can see most people's complaints being Peter Parker isn't in New York where Spider-Man usually is, and it's obviously in these different European places, and I can understand that. And I don't know, it definitely had its strong moments and its some weaker moments, but yeah, I think it's an alright film. The Incredible Hulk, this is probably, out of all of these, this is probably the one I've not seen for the longest time. It's been a couple of years. From what I remember, it's not great. I know it's very looked down upon. I don't like to put something here, but it's just why, since we had Mark Ruffalo, he's opened my eyes to he's a much better, Bruce Banner. Nothing against Edward Norton, but I think that obviously just the visual effects weren't, very good. A lot of the scenes look like cutscenes from video games, from back a long time ago. I understand it was made in 2008. I think compared to Iron Man, the visuals aren't as good. The story wasn't as interesting, but it did introduce Abomination, which was cool. Which was a cool payoff for Shang-Chi. For people who recognized him, he had his nice little cameo in there. But yeah, I think he'll have to go in the "Why are you the way that you are" category. So, Avengers: Age of Ultron. I think this is better than the first Avengers. Definitely not as good as Infinity War. I think it could go in alright for now. I think it had its moments. Again, introduced one of my favourite characters, which is Wanda. She's definitely like she's probably my second favourite Marvel character now. After all the character development and like the more we've seen her, she's definitely become more of a cooler and interesting character. I'm excited to see her in Multiverse of Madness, to see like that spin of her being a villain again, which we kind of got glimpses at in WandaVision. But yeah, I think just for now, it's just an alright film. Iron Man 2. Now, I'm going to try and not be too biased, since Iron Man is my favourite character. Iron Man 2, I understand, is probably the most least liked film. I can understand that. I do find the ending to be underwhelming, like the final fight scene to be a bit underwhelming. Like, it does get resolved like pretty quickly with a snap of his finger, like ironic, but it was quite fast. I do think it could have been better. I do agree with that. It hurts to put it there, but I don't want to be too biased. So yeah, I think it makes sense that it could have been better. So next is Iron Man 3. Again, I think is a very underrated film. I think Iron Man 2 is also underrated, but I think Iron Man 3 is underrated. But I definitely think after Shang-Chi, I definitely like it more, and for the reasons I've discussed with Shang-Chi. But I definitely think Iron Man 3, I think it's really good. I think it is really good. And I know people's complaints was he doesn't wear his armor like a lot in the film. Like it's just him. And I love that. It's like it's Tony Stark going back to the basics. Like I just love this the scenes where he goes into the shop and he just buys just daily things, or like he buys like the baubles for Christmas and he just turns them into like sort of like grenades sort of things, like, and like I don't know, I just find we get to see him use his genius in another way that isn't with an Iron Man suit, and I just really like love that and appreciate that. But yeah, I think it is something between these two. I think it is a very good film, definitely underrated. Iron Man 1 is the GOAT. It has to go in banging. I don't care what anyone says, but I understand some people not liking it. I do, but maybe I'm blindsided by him being the best character in the MCU. But I think even people who don't like it still appreciate it for being the beginning of it all. I can understand like that's why it might not be the best. Like obviously it is the first thing. It was a trial of its time to set up this universe, and it obviously succeeded. So it is a very good film. I love it. I could watch it like every single day and not get bored. I know my dad agrees. Me and my dad could watch this like all the time. This is probably me and my dad's favorite film, like one of our favorite films of all time. And like it's just such a great movie. It's got such great visuals for its time. I still watch it and can't believe like what they managed to like make look, how good it looks like in 2008. I've got a specific few shots I really love, like when he sort of like puts his hand up and he bobs his head up out of that crater, like that looks really good to me. Or I love like the shot where like he avoids getting shot from the tanker, he just shoots the rocket, and the classic walking away from the explosion. And obviously just I think like when he targets the terrorists and like shoots them all individually without harming the innocents, just such a cool use of the technology. And yeah, I just really love this film, but I'm rambling about it, so we'll move on to Black Panther. So Black Panther is going. I think it gets pulled down by the ending. I think it was a strong film. I think the ending pulls it down a bit. The fights were a bit boring towards the end, and I am aware that they didn't actually get to finish the visual effects properly, and that's why it does look so bad, and it does come across as rushed. But again, I can't let that excuse. But obviously, the main thing I love about this film is Chadwick Boseman's performance. Chadwick Boseman is an incredible person, incredibly talented and inspirational. He did a phenomenal job as T'Challa. I loved Black Panther just for him. Black Panther is by far one of my favourite characters just because of Chadwick Boseman's performance as T'Challa. I can also appreciate Michael B. Jordan's performance as Killmonger. I really did enjoy his portrayal as this villain, who was quite, he was very, like, one of the best villains of the time. It came out the same year as Thanos. Like, I know he's a very popular villain, like, people, like, really enjoy, and, he's got his merit and his, like, what he believes he's doing is right, and, like, you can follow it to some degree. Obviously, he's still a villain, but, again, I'm rehashing the same points, but what I'm trying to say, I really enjoy the film, but I don't mean to say this in bad, but I do think it is a bit overhyped in some areas. I do think it does fall flat still, but I've got to put it there. I can't. It is a really good film. I can appreciate that. It is a really good film. Like, but yeah, a lot of this. A lot of this video has just been me being like, really good film, really good film. Like, I mean, I love the Marvel films. It's quite hard to judge them, and, like, especially when you get to these lower ones, like, oh, I've still got so many to go. I need to get better at making short videos. That's probably why my skit did so well. But Spider-Man: Homecoming, we'll try and rush this up. It's because I've been trying to do some, like, short synopsis and reviews, but you're not here for that. I mean, I guess you are, but, like, I think it is a banger. I do enjoy the character of Vulture, a very good villain. Tom Holland is a very good Peter Parker / Spider-Man. I definitely think this one might be better than Far From Home. Again, I do go back and forth on it, but I do really enjoy this film. Thor, it's been a while since I've seen it. I definitely don't. I know I've for the longest time followed people's opinions on saying it's bad. I think when I did rewatch it, I did realize it wasn't as bad. I think I will put it in alright. But yeah. Or it could. You know what? It's not awful from what I remember, but Thor: The Dark World, I think it just could have been better. I don't think anything really deserves to go down here. I only put Incredible Hulk there because I just felt like I had to put something there, but yeah, Thor Ragnarok is a banger. I mean, if you've seen that film, you know why. I love the vibrancy, the acting, the humour, the world building of Sakaar, and, like, it's just a very fun film, and changed, it set up sort of the beginning of Infinity War. Did some good character development for the characters of Loki and Thor, Hulk. Hela was a decent villain. I didn't really mind too much about her, but, like, yeah, Avengers. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to put Avengers in alright, and then Age of Ultron would have to go there, since I do think Age of Ultron is better than the first Avengers, but I do also appreciate the first Avengers. Well, it's the first one, and it did have to spend a lot of time setting it up, and I know people will find that controversial. Some people probably do like the first one more. That's obviously perfectly fine. But yeah, I think for the longest time I thought that for a while, but yeah. So Shang-Chi, I mean, this is one of the main reasons I really wanted to do this video was, I recently rewatched Shang-Chi about a few days ago. My goodness, I love this film. The music, like the score, like the soundtrack, the sound effects, the sound design for everything. The action is by far, hands down, the best action in any MCU movie, and it definitely deserves to be a banger. Deserves all the praise it gets, and I'm hoping it is still continuing to be as successful as I've seen it is doing, and I can't wait to see Shang-Chi in, like, the crossover films, like any future Avengers films, any sequels he may get, any of the characters, like shows or films he could appear in. But yeah, really loved his character. Had a very good villain as well. Wenwu was a very interesting villain, definitely one of the top tier ones, especially, like, contrasting someone like Whiplash from Iron Man 2. Way more of an interesting villain. Black Widow could have been better, definitely. In my opinion, maybe because I was just overhyping it in my head, because we waited so long and Marvel kept delaying it. I kept building this idea it was really good. I was just a bit let down, I think a bit underwhelmed. Definitely some issues, definitely some strong suits. I think it's let down by its final act. A lot of it just don't care for. It's just a lot of heavy CGI battles that wasn't that interesting. I'm one of those people who didn't like Taskmaster. I'm one of those people who didn't like Taskmaster too much. I can understand people who didn't read the comics, don't really care about that twist. My problem isn't her being the female or, like, whatever. It's just, like, the lack of like still like the connection to the comics and just how much they changed it. And I saw a video explaining how Black Widow could have been fixed, and I just can't unsee that now. But yeah, I mean, if you want better like thoughts on Black Widow, I have got a movie review. It's not the best movie review. It was my first attempt at a movie review, but again, check that out. I think I could leave a link to it with the icon thing, or just put a link in the description. But yeah, check out that. But yeah, I definitely think it had its strong suits. I really liked some characters. Definitely, you could tell the film was there just to set up like Yelena. The post-credit scene was very interesting, and I can't wait to see Yelena in the Hawkeye series. So we're on to the Disney Plus series, and we're starting off with WandaVision. Now, WandaVision was, of course, the first Disney Plus MCU series, to kick it all off, and I think it's probably my favorite one still. I think as well, again, I've mentioned Wanda is one of my favorite characters just behind Tony, and I think this was a very unique and interesting story line, with this whole like sitcom thing, and I just thought it was a very fun thing, and I think it actually was maybe something in between. I don't think it was like necessarily a banger. I don't think it was like top tier necessarily, but I really enjoyed certain plot points of it and certain things that I definitely think there was some disappointing aspects of it, like the Ralph Boner wasting the potential of like having the X-Men Quicksilver, like that was bad. There's a few like bits where like I don't know, some of the CGI looked a bit off, and I think the story just did feel a bit rushed, or a bit like the pacing was a bit different. But like besides that, I think it was a very good show, and it deserves to be up there with like Doctor Strange and Avengers: Age of Ultron and Black Panther. But yeah, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the second one. I think it was alright. I definitely think it definitely had a lot of negatives, and it had some positives. I definitely really enjoyed the journey of seeing Sam Wilson now accept what he was given, the mantle of Captain America in Endgame. He's finally taken it up and become Captain America. I love the Captain America costume. Some people don't like it, I know, but it's very comic inspired, and that's why I love it. And I don't know, I think I really like the design anyway. But Bucky was a fun character in it. It was great to see Zemo again. He wasn't in it too much, but the dancing scene alone just wins me over, like, just one of the best characters. But my favourite character from the series was by far John Walker. Very well written, very interesting character, who's like, given this, I would like to make a video, to be honest, talking about it. Like, I just thought he was a very like relatable, but not like just what, I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it because I know I'm just going to be rambling even more, and this video is going to be very long. Again, I apologise. I'm sorry. It's just there's a lot of films to go through, and I just wanted to do some short reviews. But yeah, I think yeah, John Walker, hands down my favourite character. I think it could go in all right. We'll do Loki first. I think Loki was alright. I know this is going to get some controversial opinions. I don't know. When I first watched Loki, I thought very good, probably my favourite one. I think as I thought about it more, my reason isn't just because it was very dialogue and exposition heavy. I actually enjoy exposition. And dialogue, and I love reading into stuff about characters and how they interact with other beings. But I don't know. I just think compared to the others, and just like how it really fits in with the MCU. Like, I thought Loki was supposed to be setting up breaking the multiverse, but then in the No Way Home trailer, like, Strange breaks the multiverse with a spell. Like, it's like, how does it fit in? It's not really fully explained yet. Although, admittedly, we haven't seen No Way Home, so yes, okay, maybe I'm rushing into that a bit much, but yeah, I just think it was alright. I think it definitely could grow on me more, especially with it getting a season 2. But I did enjoy the character of Loki. It was interesting. They introduced Sylvie. In my opinion, Sylvie's wasn't that interesting of a character. I didn't really care too much about her. I know some people love her. That's absolutely fine. I found it weird with this romantic relationship, and I hate seeing people ship them. But again, I guess it's your life. you can do what you want. I mean, but it's just, I don't know, a bit weird to me. But yeah. So yeah, Loki is just in alright. And finally, What If. So as I've mentioned, What If hasn't finished yet. As recording this video, it's currently on episode 7. But I think I've really enjoyed it. I think it's up there. I think it's fun to see these twists on these like films and different timelines and stuff. I wish they were longer. I think that's my main complaint is like some episodes feel just so rushed and don't feel that fleshed out, and it depends on you knowing the original storylines or characters or what they were feeling or how they were behaving at that point in time. But I think besides that, if you do get that stuff, then it's a very fun time watching these alternative things. And I watched a video the other day, and it did open my eyes to one of the main cons is just when it has its genres, it doesn't have the right feel to it, like the right tone to its correct genre. Like the zombies episode, I really like it, probably still my favorite one. But I do agree with the point, like it did feel too humorous and it was trying to be too light-hearted when it was a very serious setting. Like we was seeing like the deaths of some very big characters, like I don't know, like they didn't feel like emotional weight. Like when Bucky cut Cap in half, they didn't feel like he was like very apologetic or he was struggling with the idea of like hurting his friend despite being a zombie. But I definitely think that could have been built upon. But yeah, but I think I am pretty happy with that. Um, yeah, I'm pretty solid. I know it's going to probably be a controversial thing, just like my Star Wars one, putting all the prequels quite high. But yeah, I would be very interested to see other people's tier lists. If you let me know um, where's yours would have been. I will leave a link to this tier list in the description below, and it'll be fun to see what people say in the comments as well to let me know what again. Just let me know in the comments what your list would have looked like. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Again, I know it was very long. I know a lot of people probably won't even make it to the end of the video, but if you do, I really appreciate you watching. I hope you like. But don't forget, if you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm just repeating a lot of the same points. I'm not sure when next video will be and what it will be just yet, but bear with me. I'm trying to still balance doing a lot of work and stuff. But I really enjoy making videos, and yeah, I'm hoping this video comes out well. I've got a feeling it won't. This probably won't even make it, but anyway, yeah, I'm enough rambling. I've said a lot of the same stuff, but yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, and I'll see you around. Peace.